Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel for Celtic fans all over the world, from Glencoe to Gwangju, from Stornoway to Singapore. We connect Celtic fans all across the planet at these times that I will show you back to the sound of my dogs barking. Don't know if you can hear that. These are the times we're currently going live on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, the name of today's show is The Full Monty. And I don't know about you, but I believe in miracles, Dano. Where are you from, you sexy thing?
Well, I'm here in Gwangju, home of Gwangju FC, and the Mighty Phoenix have just qualified for the Asian Champions League as of the weekend. So we got third place, straight from relegation last year, or straight from promotion last year. So it was an unbelievable weekend, and I had to go to their last game in the middle of a move, which the viewers can probably tell. And yeah, pretty exciting times here in Gwangju as far as football goes.
That is exciting. My local team, Sabah FC, have also qualified from their group. We won the group. So I think this is uncharted territory for us. So it'll be exciting to see who we come up against next. But
certainly is for us too. Yeah. I mean, we're usually second tier in the K-League. I mean, almost constantly. It's a miracle, man.
Well, let's get back to the Full Monty before everybody forgets that that's the theme of the introductions. David, you can leave your hat on and your trousers. You're joining us from Kuala Lumpur.
I am indeed, and I could go into a Tom Jones joke anytime you like. I'm delighted to hear that there's a Malaysian team doing well in the Asian Cup as well. And that's why I come on the show to get this remarkable information that would have passed me by otherwise.
And there's plenty of reasons why people would tune into the show. One of them is that they're looking for some hot stuff, but we could only find Paul in Perth. Hello, Paul.
What's that, Gav? Not too hot today, only about 26 degrees in early summer in Perth, but I'm sure the mercury will be tipping higher. There will be hot stuff in the very near future, but nice to be on.
Well, we are family, so thanks to you for joining. Everyone who's in the comments, please feel free to join in and say hello.
Comment like Pete MacG, Frank Brennan, and John Clements.
Yes, take that advice. Okay, so
what was that?
That was someone telling you to comment like Pete MacG, Frank Brennan, and John Clements.
Gav, you got an AI girlfriend now, man? What's up?
He's been having fun.
Well, I can't have a real one, so Dano, you got to make do.
Your wife are expensive, especially while married. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's bring the meeting to order. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to talk about the Hibs game. Hibs play ball in various senses. Secondly, player chat. What does it all mean? We're approaching the January window. Who's doing what? Who's off? Who's in? Who's out? All that kind of stuff. Further speculation in the papers. Number 3, we've got a little educating Dano segment. One of our new bits. It's not difficult. It's fun. And then a little bit on the Kilmarnock game that's coming up and our Celtic social media. So that's all terribly exciting. Let me put the ticker on. Can I hear myself echoing in somebody's?
I thought I heard some. It wasn't you.
Okay.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's proceed with the Hibs game. So, Hibs play ball. We'll do a little pre-review, as we sometimes do. I've got a few questions to ask. Who can tell me, why is one of the nicknames of Hibs the Cabbage?
I didn't know it was.
Similarly, I got
No
nothing.
idea.
Maybe
never heard of it.
Maybe a reference to the Great Hunger, famine. I don't know.
Oh, I was pretty sure somebody would have an answer to that. The answer is, it's derived from shortened rhyming slang for cabbage and ribs. Whatever the hell that is. The cabbage and ribs, the Hibs.
Yeah.
I don't even get the rhyming slang. Cabbage and ribs is a thing?
Well, you know the way bacon and cabbage is a thing for Irish people
Yeah,
in America,
alright.
apparently, even though I've never seen anyone eating bacon and cabbage outside of America.
Yeah,
But
neither have I. Yeah, only in America.
guess-
Yeah.
I guess that's one of those things. Okay, well, let's talk about the crest a little bit. Let me just add that. The crest represents the three main strands of their identity. Ireland, represented by the harp, Edinburgh, the castle, and Leith, the ship. And Nick Montgomery, after 12 years with Sheffield United, cancelled his contract with them, which allowed him to join United's sister club, Central Coast Mariners. Did you know they were a sister club of Sheffield United, Paul?
I did not know that. No.
Oh, and then he went on to manage Central Coast Mariners, and they won the A-League under him in 2023. So that's
did.
Hibs. This is one of their most favorite players.
Franco.
We all know him. Would anyone like to give us a Begbie quote, or is it too early in the show for that? Maybe children watching.
Nobody's leaving here until we find out who done it.
Which
Okay, thank you for sanitizing that.
some lassie's being glassed.
So, Paul, do you know where the Central Coast Mariners play?
I'll be honest. I'm not great on the Central Coast Mariners. Pass.
Well, the
Obviously,
answer's
somewhere between Sydney and
screen.
Newcastle, but
exactly halfway between Sydney and Newcastle. There's a place called Gosford on the central coast of New South Wales.
that doesn't ring a
Fascinating,
bell,
eh?
maybe,
There you
so,
go. There's
yeah.
your little bit of history. I'm sure everyone, or a bit of education. I'm sure everyone will be delighted with that. All right,
Geography, history, man. Yeah, there's a
let's-
lot going on
let's-
here.
let's talk football. That's what we're here for. Starting lineup was an interesting one for once. Plenty to talk about there. Dano, we'll go to you first. No Kyogo, Iwata, the third midfielder, and a start from Mikey Johnston. What did you make of all that?
You know, the last couple of games prior to this, Mikey's been showing something. I wasn't surprised by that. He's had a couple of good games, and I'm sure that with the experience Brendan Rodgers has with him, I wasn't surprised seeing that. I was surprised to see Tomoki, even though he's done well in his appearances. That was the only thing that I saw that I was like, oh wow. I wasn't having any trepidation about it, or is he going to do well? I think he's a fantastic player. He's incredibly underrated. But player of the year in Japan before he joined us. And and of course my boy came through with man of the match. So I was very excited, obviously being local, to see him get a start. It's fantastic. And people on Korean social media today were buzzing, man. One guy who I've met since I moved into my new apartment, I met him last night, and he was talking about, oh yeah, Oh Young-gu, he plays for Celtic. He's all excited. So I sent him the highlights like this morning after the game, and he was like, yeah. So people were pretty excited about, and that's the second man of the match for O this season, I think. I mean, it's been in a pretty quick succession. So seems like he's coming into his own. He's brilliant. But all three players I thought had good games. So
did this guy in your apartment block see you moving into your apartment carrying in your Celtic duvet and pillows and all that sort of stuff? Is that how the conversation?
My green and white teddy bears, I have like 40 of them that I spread around the bed. But we were talking about football, and he's from Jeonbuk, which is actually where I went to see the game before the last game for Gwangju FC. And they wear green and white, and the Crazy Green Boys or something is what their ultras are called. And so he's from there, which is about 70 80 kilometers away. And so we were talking about football, and then I was like, yeah, I'm a big Celtic supporter. And he was like, oh yeah, Celtic. And he was like, yeah, Oh Young-gu. That was like the first thing that came out. And then the other players he was naming off. So it's great to see. Oh man, he's been in form. It's fantastic. So interesting twist on what's somewhat obviously coming up in January. You know what I'm saying? Because the fans are clamoring for either more quality or some players to go or whatever. So seeing these players
we'll get
do
on
pretty
to
well.
that sort of conversation in due course, but let's deal with the game that we've just witnessed first of all. First half, goals and incidents of note. Well, we started brightly, and for once we got an early goal, Paul, which is pretty rare. It's from a corner, even more rare. But I mean, how good a start was that for us? How much did that set the tone for the game?
Yeah, well, it did. Obviously, getting off to a great start is always it always just changes the complexion of the game. The pressure from fans is lifted. Players get some confidence. They're able to play a bit more freely. Tails are up, and yeah, it just set the tone for the whole game. We won 4-1, and it should have been a lot more, to be honest. It was a routine corner in. Carter Vickers gets a decent contact on it, and it always just kind of shuffling across, and his touch is kind of key, because the keeper probably collects it otherwise, but it's sort of that little turn of direction, change of direction on the ball has him sort of foxed, and it's in the net. So yeah, great start, great for got his tail up. I wasn't surprised he got the nod. I was a bit surprised there was no Kyogo. I thought he might try and find room for the pair of them. But I was also keen to see Tomoki start, so it was always going to be one of Kyogo or Tomoki, and they sort of both justified their selection. A little tip of the hat to a friend of the show, Tony Haggerty, because on the Celtic Way this week, he predicted the exact lineup, which I thought was a pretty good shout.
Indeed.
To get it absolutely nailed.
Yeah.
To get it absolutely nailed. But yeah, cracking start.
Yeah.
David, so the first goal, well, let's talk about it a little bit more, because we introduced this segment saying Hibs play ball, and they certainly did play ball by defending that appallingly. Like, it fell to CCV's feet on the 6-yard line. That's how Celtic defend corners. But thankfully, it was somebody else doing it.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
go ahead.
I thought actually on the break, Hibs looked a threat a couple of times, and I thought our defence was a bit shaky. And I thought, obviously, as I've said, that the getting the goal kind of settled us, but I thought that we ran at them right from the get-go and unsettled them just from the speed of our play. What was really interesting was McGregor just immediately taking up that more forward position with Iwata coming in, and the number of passes were so much less. So it was control the ball, pass it on. So you were getting two touches, and then the ball was moving at a pace. And one of the things that I observed was that very, very quickly on, the Hibs players were huffing and puffing, just at the trying to defend. So it didn't surprise me that we kind of got the, or maybe, it was badly defended, right? They should have done better with that. We'd have been going nuts if that had been us. And maybe their goal we can talk about. Maybe we should have done better with that. So they were definitely rattled, but I think it was the intensity of our play that actually put them into that position in the first place. And I loved from the first goal that all ran in the opposite direction to everybody else. So that made me
Everyone
giggle.
ignored him. He's run off, going, I've scored. And everyone was like, no, we're congratulating CCV. He did all the hard work.
Yeah.
That was quite funny. And then, well, unless you want to talk about something else, the second goal, an OReilly header from a Pama cross. Pama beats his man, create enough space.
Again.
So easy, wasn't it, Dano?
Just smooth, man. I mean, we've talked about this before. He's not super pacey. He doesn't have a lot of like crazy attributes that are eye-popping, but he always creates space, and his crosses are sublime. He just has nice feet and footwork, and he just creates space for himself. Yeah, and OReilly, it was easy peasy from there, man. So
and OReilly played well. He was back to himself.
He had a great game. Another great game. Yeah, OReilly was top class, man.
Speaking of star performers, there's Kaiser in the chat.
There he is.
To show up, even though.
Well, at least he wasn't one of the guests tonight. You know?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't disagree. You can't disagree with him. I had the man of the match actually as well. Although O got it, I thought Iowa was definitely the man of the match for me.
I probably would have given it to him too.
Well,
And I'm home
Let's
proud.
talk about the incidents before we get to
All
the
right.
man of the match. Paul, were you excited by the fact that O'Reilly and Pama even have a little wanky celebration between the two of them?
I did
Did you
notice
see
that.
that?
I thought that was a bit cringe, to be honest, wasn't it? They've obviously worked on that in the last few days, or ready to bust
It wasn't
out.
an e-slide. It wasn't an
I was
e-slide.
like, no, I wasn't in love with it. I'll be honest. I was impressed with Pama. Like O'Reilly was back to his best, which it's great to see because he was very off it in the first. Well, they all were, but he was particularly poor in the first half against the Johnston. I was pretty impressed with Pama all round, to be honest. There was a period earlier in the half where he was sort of checking and not just willing to put the ball in early, which was a bit frustrating. Peter Grant picked up on a Celtic TV commentary, but when he did actually be direct and obviously took his man on, he's not got electric pace, but he has got a quick burst, and that just tends to give him a yard or two, which he finds the space to put the ball in, and that's what he did for the goal. He shifted it, just got the run on the fullback, and on his weaker side, the left, and he floated in a great ball. Always unlucky to miss it. He was having a crack at it, and then O'Reilly was following in, and we have seen O'Reilly, fluff a header or two in recent weeks. So it was nice to see him get a proper contact and tuck it away. So yeah, pretty straightforward goal, but a nice finish. Pama, I was pretty impressed with his all-round performance. He pressed really well. From defending from the front, almost my era like at times. It's certainly better than Mikey Johnston was doing on the other side, and we'll get to him in a bit, I'm sure. And no wanky stuttery run up for the penalty either, which was nice to see. He just stepped up and smashed it, which is what we spoke about and asked for. So thought he was a little bit lucky to still be on them after that last one, but he did a good job with it. So
okay, so Paul's jumping into the second half. We better rush to catch up with them. What were the substitutions that were made at halftime, David?
Substitutions were, I've got them here. So we had, well, I thought I had them. We've got
Phillips for
just
CCV. Was
Phillips?
just
most
Phillips at
obvious.
halftime.
and
That was the only.
was it only him at halftime?
Yeah.
And apparently
That was coming off
CCV
of
felt his
CCV.
hamstring. Not
That
a
was the
big
chap.
injury, but
That was the
just
chap.
took him off. Yeah.
Yeah, just tightness,
But then
precaution.
Phillips came on and just looked a magnificent Premier League player throughout the rest of that half. I'm sure you'll agree.
Brutal.
But first of all, yes, the
Absolutely
penalty was
brutal.
for a clumsy foul on Johnson. Johnson didn't make much of a claim for it. Was right
I
on
thought it
the
was
spot.
soft.
He didn't make a claim for it. I noticed on the unique angle, not alternative angle, Paul, that we talked about last time. Remember, we were trying to remember what that was called. Cal Mack did claim for it. You thought it was a soft penalty. Anyone disagree and think VAR just did its job? He got a standing leg taken away by the defender. David, Dano?
Yeah, I thought VAR probably just came in because that's what you expect these days. If VAR wasn't there, we wouldn't get that penalty, and I don't think anyone would spend too much time over it either. But that's where we are, isn't it? VAR will come in and say that's totally against the rules, so therefore that has to be looked at. I mean, fine for us, but yeah.
To me, it falls into the category of re-refereeing the game a little bit.
It's soft. Yeah.
Nobody. If nobody would have
Ticky-tack
picked up on it
fouling.
or kicked up much of a stink, do you need to revisit it?
Not really.
We'd have been a bit. I think we'd. It's one of those. By the letter of the law, there's contact, but it's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said it was a clear and obvious to deny it, and I think it floats into the category of starting to re-referee the game, which is not what VAR's there for. So, just a mild coming together. If I was Hibs, I'd feel a wee bit aggrieved.
Yeah.
Well, the only
clumsy
positive for
defending,
me,
though. I mean, it's the kind of thing that could be given against us, and nobody would leave room for our complaints. They'd say, "Look how clumsy he was, jumping into him like that, didn't get anywhere near the ball." Speaking of clumsy defending, Yuan hit the post not long into the second half after making Phillips look a bit slow on the turn, didn't he?
A bit.
Yeah.
See, Milk turn quicker.
Yeah.
How's he getting a game before Lagerbielke and
That's the question.
Navrosky?
Yeah,
That's
that
the
drove
question.
me nuts, man.
No idea.
Seriously, yeah, no. I mean, is it Navrosky? Is he back from his injury? Or, I mean, what's the
They're
story?
both
I think they're
available.
both
Both
obviously-
available.
Because I mean,
Maybe-
particularly Navrosky looked really good in the chances he had. I mean, I thought he played like 3-4 pretty solid games, man. And then he got injured, bad luck, but should get some credit for that. And Nat Phillips has looked really bad. Really bad.
Well, the issue seems to be very clearly that Brendan Rodgers has said he's not impressed with them in training. So whatever
Yeah.
they're doing in training, they have to up their game, or else they're not getting game time. So he would write for what he said of Nat Phillips is that he's a positive influence, probably comes with that maturity and experience. So he prefers that over whatever it is those two are doing. But
Yeah.
if that's the case, why did we buy them? That just is staggering to me.
That's where I mean you're in between those two type of dynamics, right? You have to make some kind of accommodation, I think, for someone you paid £4 million for, who obviously has a ton of potential and played some pretty good games for us. So I don't know.
I don't.
Something's got to
understand it.
give. Something's got to give. Yeah.
Here's a point here in the comments from Castle Milk Boy. Hibs trying to play out when David Marshall is so uncomfortable was laughable. Montgomery, a fantasist. And this show is called The Fool Monty. And some are calling Monty a fool for playing right into our hands. Left plenty of space. Tried to beat us playing football. Like Hibs did play ball. They gave us exactly what we wanted, don't you think, Paul?
I thought they were generally pretty poor. Like they tried to play a bit, but then they went long pretty regularly. They've got genuine pace, but for me, Yuan's quick, and they try to get him away. Is it Tavares on the left? They try to get him away a bit. Boyle's quick, but he was playing way too deep. Like I didn't see the point in him playing that deep when that's probably his one of their main weapons. So. Yeah, generally, I just didn't think they were really that good, to be honest, and I don't think they've been very good over the course of the season. They've had the odd result here and there, but we've talked about this loads of times. In this league, everyone outside the top two can beat everyone any given day easily enough, and it only takes one or two results in a space of 5 or 6 to suddenly jump up the table and look like you're on a half decent run when really that's not the case.
But the fall from last year, though, for Hibs, as far as like quality and form, is just so notable watching them, isn't it? I mean,
well, they've been a good run of form up until they played us. I think Montgomery will do all right there.
Yeah, I think they have the tools. It's just, man, they've had a weird first half so far. It's just kind of.
Speaking of tools, John Beaton gets a mention here. In John Daly's comment, Beaton should have given a penalty in the first place. Thought he was getting away with it by depriving us again. But let's keep it moving. O's second goal. David, that was a very O goal, wasn't it? Movement, strength, finish.
Absolutely, but I don't think you get to that point unless you talk about McGregor's pass to him.
Yeah.
Which was just unbelievable.
Is it him, though?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
It's to Pama. It's got to be to Pama, and it was. It's just, of course, it's to Pama. It's a good forward ball, but there's no way
that's. Don't destroy it for me. Do not.
There's no way that's.
Don't do it.
Destroyer of dreams. That's what we're here for, David.
When I make a video of this, it will certainly say yes. You did agree with it. It was a most magnificent pass.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! You're going to give him a come on.
It's a good ball forward, but makes it a good ball forward because I don't think it's for him. He reads it and he bullies the defender, and then he tucks it away with a really good finish. So it's a great goal, but you'd have a hard job convincing me that McGregor's played that ball bent in behind, especially for
I don't think so.
Did you see in this game McGregor play definitely more than he has been with Awata coming in and having that holding position, release him? Certainly the first half he had a cracking shot on goal and he could have got one right. For me, he's pushing the team forward, opening up defences, and I'm going to give him that one.
Okay, well,
If you
nobody
don't-
can stop
I-
you.
I-
You go
I
right
mean,
ahead.
David's
Oh,
joining
also-
Monty as a fantasist by the sounds.
Yeah.
If it makes you
also
happy, you can give him that. But I
It
don't think the
does.
rest of us think it.
It
I don't
does.
think any of the rest of us think it is.
It does.
He had a good game. He absolutely. Had
I'm
a
going to
good
look
game.
at the comments now. I'm going to look at the
The,
comments.
mid, the midfield three had a very good game, and I think one of the things about the three of them playing together is they've got that natural balance where all three of them can sit in the deeper lying role, and all three of them are more comfortable on the ball and good passing. Tomoki was very happy to take it on the half turn, and that's been one of my complaints about McGregor playing in that position this season. He's not been playing it on the half. He's not been taking it on the half turn. He's been taking it almost facing his defense or side on, and being slow and ponderous and not really getting the ball moving through the lines. And Tomoki actually, he not only moved the ball through lines, but his movement to receive and get into space was great as well. So,
Well, it was
you
nice
know,
to
people would
see.
say he didn't do anything spectacular, but you know, if you function well in that pivot role, then you don't have to do that much that looks great and spectacular. But if you make yourself available and you make forward passes, then you get the team moving in the right direction.
Well, let us know in the comments if you think Cal Mack's ball to O was meant for O or not. Be interesting to see what people think.
I mean, one point I wanted to make is O is really a noticeable combination once he gets out full gallop of size, speed, and strength. I mean, he can get out in front of defenders who are typically the slower players on the field. But once he gets in front of them, man, they are shut out. I mean, he can just seal them, man.
One thing I noticed about O in particularly the first half, right? There was a couple of chances that I think he could have put away. So the most exciting proposition here is the more sharp he becomes, the more goals he's going to put away. And with that benefit of size and control, Dano, I think maybe we're in for a treat.
Well, that's an interesting point. And on that point,
pay attention. This is totally free and great crack. The least you can do is subscribe. Do it now. Cheers.
gotta subscribe if you want more penetrating thoughts like David's there.
You must
It's gotta be
subscribe.
worth a subscribe.
You must subscribe.
Yes, Kaiser's
It's going to be.
Well, let's keep it moving. We'll round up the views on that pass in a moment, but let's keep it moving. Ralston came on to play left back. Pretty weird. Don't cry for me, Alexandro. Paul.
Yeah.
Is Bernabé toast? Tostada?
Yeah, he's done.
Done.
Absolutely done.
Done.
It was likely he was
for a
done
month.
before this, but I can't remember the last time he'd been on the pitch or on the bench, never mind the pitch. And if you're going with Ralston as a backup left back, then yeah, the writing's on the wall. The writing's on
God
the wall.
help us.
4 million quid down the Swanee plus the wages. Not a great bit of business, is it? So yeah, no, I think he's done.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not going to sell him in January, are we? I mean, who's going to buy him?
Who knows?
Who's ever going to buy him?
Let him out, man. Well, I don't know. Anything.
Back to America del Sur.
Do you think
It's one of those-
there's anything? Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, if we're going to loan him, it depends if we're going to loan him with a view to try and just get him in the shop window to sell him, or if we're going to try to loan him with a view that he might ever come back. I'm a massive advocate. I think we should be trying to loan him inside Scotland because it strengthens our opponents against everyone except for us, and it gives them some game time in the league that they actually are supposed to be playing in.
Strengthen them.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of comments. John Clement says if that was Kyogo Faro's second goal, he would have been left in his arse. Cal Mack's pass was overhit for Palma, and Big O ran onto it. I'm your man, John Clements. Kaiser says 100% Cal meant to play in O. He sees the strength of O in training every day and picked him out. So
The strength of all
opinion is
caps.
divided. Okay, so the Palma penalty came, and he was obviously listening to Steve and every other commentator on Celtic football media recently who said, "Stop fanning around, just run up and kick the bloody thing." And
Pop it home, baby.
great penalty, so easy. You know, come on. How easy did it look? It was a nice penalty. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't right in the corner, but it had the pace. He ran up to it, had enough elevation.
Yeah.
Too easy.
No stutter step. Beautiful.
But do you want to see anything else when it comes to penalties than that?
Just want to see that
I mean,
over and over again.
For set plays, you're a bit of creativity over walls or whatever it is. But for a penalty, that's what you want to see every single time.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go up and crack it, man.
Okay, so then we concede again. Nat Phillips made to look slow and easy to beat by Yuan. Beats his man, puts the ball across to Doig to score. We've already mentioned why, or questioned why Nawrocki and Lagerbielke aren't getting the nod. Maybe that's contractual. I see somebody saying in the comments, but can't put play time into the contracts really. But yeah, they must be terrible in training. Friend of the show, Tony Cassidy, said on Twitter that about 4 of our players were to blame for that goal. Don't think you can lay too much blame at the keeper or Scales, really, because by then, just a touch is all that's needed to put it in. It's all on Phillips, surely, isn't it, David?
I would say so in that situation. But because if you look at the other players when the ball went in, they were actually on the right side of the players as they should have been. So it puts them in a difficult position. And I agree, I don't know that the keeper could have done that much more for it. So, yeah, I think I would have gone with Phillips as the issue there.
Yeah. And then Tillio came on. Paul, you're our resident Tillio expert because you live in the same country that he's from.
10 years. 10 years at best.
The same massive, expansive country that you're at the opposite end of.
Yeah, that's why Dano is our Yang and O specialist as well. Is that what we're applying that same logic?
Well, I went out for drinks with them all the time when they were still here. There's a difference.
Well, I don't frequent emo clubs, so I wouldn't be even if I was in the same post as Marco Tillio.
Tillio on emo?
He looks a bit like an emo, doesn't he? He looks like he probably wears he looks like he probably wears guy liner in his spare time and goes to goth clubs.
I wonder now.
He's got a bit of that about him, I reckon. Anyway, he played pretty poorly when he came on, and just added to the woes on the wings. I think currently we've got one fit decent winger, which is Pama. The rest of them, I'd honestly maybe play Kyogo on the weekend on the wing. That's where I've got to with that. They're all crap.
We're talking about subs that did come on and do an awful lot. Dano, Bernardo, every time he comes on, he's amazing, isn't he? He just sets the game alight.
Not quite, but he does have his moments. I'm not totally anti Bernardo, but yeah, last night wasn't exactly a resume builder, I would say. Not something you're going to put on your highlight reel, but I do like what he brings to the table generally, but we'll have to see. I mean, the jury's still out. I mean, there's been just a lot of really short appearances for him. I'm not a big believer in going off of that, but we'll see.
He's neat and tidy, and he's neat and tidy, and he's got a good engine, and he doesn't really give the ball up too much. He wins it back, but he doesn't really have much beyond that. There doesn't seem to be a bit of a spark. There's no real creativity. He's not showed us a great shot. He hasn't really appeared to have the vision to put players in.
Yeah, he kind of strikes me as replacing Turnbull with Latin Turnbull.
Turnbull light.
Turnbull and Portuguese.
He's obviously got pedigree to come through the sort of Benfica system, but
he's got something to him for sure. Yeah,
I don't feel like he's a good fit for us necessarily.
David, talking about losing faith in players, as perhaps we are a little bit in Bernardo. Last Monday, or this Monday just gone, you said you were losing faith in Pama's set piece ability. Then he scores a nice penalty, and then he took a decent free kick near the end, worked the keeper. Is your faith restored?
His corner for the first goal as well, maybe?
Yeah. So again,
Okay,
that was kind of more business-like, wasn't it? And my concern had been that he'd been getting a lot of praise about being in the last game the only one of the squad who was showing, aggression, running after things. If he lost the ball, he ran it down, etc. That's fine, but in recent games, he'd made a mess of free kicks. He'd done that one step back in penalties, and he was meant to be coming in as one of his clear strengths was his set piece ability. So if you can see a rapid, and then it looks like that's his approach to every instance of that. And now if we're back where someone's had a word in his ear and said, don't cut out that nonsense, go back and do this, which it looks like that's what he's been advised to do for the penalty. Certainly when he's on pace, when he's running, he can pick out players, cross a ball. Corners seems to be, I don't remember how many times, recently how we've scored from corners. So that's fantastic. So I'm absolutely happy that he has what he showed in the game last night. I just want to see that all the time. I just don't want it to be, a sort of looky, tricky type player and then just lose all of the benefits we particularly need him for.
Yeah. And speaking of things we want to see more of, there's a few more comments on Tilio here before we leave the game. Tilio hit a shot that Diana Ross hit harder in the 1994 World Cup.
At least his hit the target,
penalty.
right?
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
hit the target at least.
I do want to ask one question about losing faith. Go ahead.
Well, let's just run through these Tilio comments. There's a few of them. Tilio still needs match time sharpness. Match sharpness is everything.
Okay.
Absolutely right. Kaiser,
Super small
I thought
sample.
Tilio was sharp and direct when he came on. Looked quite small of stature, but fast turning and with skill. I want to see more of him, to be honest. I agree. I want to see more of him. I think, if he has a good performance, if he puts in a performance or gets a goal or some sort of confidence building thing occurs to him, then he could really start performing for us, and I'd love to see that. But go ahead, David. Writing players off.
Well, yeah. So I want, losing confidence. So I wrote this down because I'll read it to you. Changing two of them up front. So this is when Brendan Rodgers has been asked about the impact of Owen. Will he come back? And is he going to be our first team pick next one? Changing two of them up, of the front three was important for us and gave us that freshness. Kyogo can't play in every game, but then you have someone like who can make an impact. What's he saying there? That's not great for someone like Kyogo. That sounds like loss of faith.
I don't think it is at all. I don't think it is, right? Kyogo's been asked to play pretty much every game since he came in here. We know he's got a shoulder injury, he needs surgery on. There's long been talk on this forum and from other people on this channel that if Kyogo gets injured, it's the end of it's the end of the world. There's nobody to replace him. Oh, it's not good enough. Blah blah blah. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with giving Kyogo a bit of a break. Like there's 9 games this month. Why would you? Why? And if you want O to kick on, he needs games, right? So Brendan's been happy to play them at the same time for parts of games. I don't think I can think of a game where they've both started, but he's been quite happy to play them when O comes on and Kyogo drops deep and takes one of those midfield berths. And I did think that was a possibility, but obviously wanted to get Tomoki on. And now that Tomoki has played as well as he has, I'd be very surprised for that to be reversed. So that's why I'm saying maybe the place for Kyogo in the next match is on the right wing.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
The injury might be worse than he's letting on, and also injuries hurt more when you're off form. And Kyogo's off form. Well, he's not hitting his numbers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He looked off the pace when he came on last night as well. Like or this morning, as it was here.
Yeah.
His first touch was dreadful a couple of times. And yeah, just generally looked a bit off the pace. So I don't think it'd do him any harm to, recharge the batteries and have a bit of a rest.
I hope that's what it is, Paul. That's what I'd like to hear.
Sorry.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. So we've covered the game. I've got a section here about talking about players, but we've already kind of touched on some of the issues that I thought might come up, like Nawrocki and Lagerbielke not getting to look in. Instead, Phillips plays and he's poor. We've just talked about the whole striker situation there. Kyogo out for O. What does it all mean? We talked about Bernardo having another meh game and Tilio doing a few things right, but we want to see more of him. What does it all mean in the great context of January looming? Are there any obvious things that you see happening in January now? In terms of players in and out? Paul, you go.
I was going to say it's probably worth touching on Mikey Johnston, right? The enigma that is Mikey Johnston. So
Yeah.
nearly the whole fan base would have agreed with him starting because he's added a little bit, nothing amazing, but he's added a bit of energy, intensity, and some go forward in the last couple of appearances. So and there's nobody else in the wings, right? So nobody else on that side. So it made sense for him to get a chance. He didn't take it, right? As far as I'm concerned, he did not take that chance. And the commentary by the manager afterwards was pretty stark and pretty. It was pretty much a boot up the arse. And he said he needs to do more. And you'd have to agree. And it goes back into playing to, a lot of fans are sick of him, right? And I understand that because he's been around the club for 7 years and he's never kicked on. And he's got a chance now where we have got limited options. And yes, he's still played very, very few minutes, but you'd think he would, even just off the ball press. Like I said it earlier, the Pama press was great. Mikey Johnston didn't match that on his side. And he just looked a bit like he still linked the play well enough, and he made himself available, but he never really, he never did anything you would get your bum off a seat if you're in the ground. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody else get a crack on the right wing on Sunday, which tells you everything.
Yeah, I mean, Johnston is so streaky and he's injury prone. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's moved on for sure. Like, kind of no matter how he's playing. I mean, in fact, would it be such a shock if you learned that they were just kind of shopping him around with these recent appearances and maybe trying to up some interest and value in him? I wouldn't be shocked about that.
Yeah. Red Scotland seems to be on the fence.
Yeah.
Mikey Johnston needs to go. Just go. Didn't he let the door hit you on the way out?
Yeah.
Very good. Well, that little bit of Scottish accent there might bring us on to the next little section if we want to keep the conversation moving. Educating Dano. This is something I saw in the news, Dano.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Tonics?
No.
I had a tea cake this morning.
Tonics. No.
Yep, I had one of them this morning.
Does this refresh your memory?
Never had one.
Oh, okay.
No. Tea cakes.
Paul, you literally had one of these today.
Yeah, so we've got a friend who is just out of hospital, and my wife went round his gaff to give him a little care package and check in with him, see he was okay. And he had received another care package earlier in the day from one of his colleagues, one of our ex-colleagues, and she'd provided him some tea cakes, and he went to Rish, I don't really eat. I'm not going to eat these. Do you want them? And she went, yeah, we'll have them. And yeah, she brought them. So she went to take a care package and came back with us. It probably wasn't this morning. It was probably early afternoon. But yeah, I was quite excited, and then I was a little bit let down because I thought they had jam in the middle of them as well as the marshmallow and the chocolate and the biscuit, but it seems I've imagined that because no jam.
Yeah.
Slightly disappointing.
I'll tell you why they're in the news. Tonics tea cake makers suffered 80% drop in profits.
Uh-oh.
That's why. And then
Get
I
some
was
jam in the
thinking-
tea cakes. That'll sort it out.
Yeah. Storm in a tea cake. Scottish nationalists call for a boycott of Tonics. This is back in 2016. The biscuits company scrapped the image of the lion rampant from the packaging of its iconic tea cake in a bid to rebrand the snack as British. How dare they?
How
Huh?
dare they
What a
indeed.
stupid move.
The image of the Scottish lion is missing from the new advertising campaign that appears on the London Underground. In the ads, the marshmallow snack is also referred to as Tonic's Great British Tea Cake. Dear, oh dear.
I mean,
This is the
so
second.
let me
this is the-
let me.
Oh, hold
Yeah,
on.
go
Let's
ahead.
just get.
I'm
go
rocked
through
to my core.
This is the
Ridiculous.
second time this company have pissed on Scotland after funding a no vote in 2014. What's really petty is a millionaire interfering with a country's democratic decision so he can sell more biscuits. So that's a disgrace. Almost as disgraceful as what Paul said.
I reckon. But there you go.
Oh,
John
sorry.
Daly sorted me out. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's there you go. That sorts it
What
out.
were you going to ask there, Dano?
I mean, have they been marketing themselves as Scottish and they're obviously
Yeah,
long
since
history
forever.
of being a so what
Yeah.
the fuck
They're-
are they doing? I mean, did they get like a 22-year-old college graduate who just like got out of school and they put him in the head of the marketing department and he's like, let's go with Great British. Yeah, good call, boys.
It sounds
Yeah.
it sounds like they might be run by a similar lot to our board, to be honest.
Yeah.
Without getting too political, it sounds like they
Yeah.
might be
Well,
maybe of that
yeah,
persuasion. To be fair, the tea cake was just slightly disappointing. I did say it to my wife, I'd have much preferred a chocolate covered caramel wafer, which is the quintessential tonic offering. There you go. Perfect. What a
Caramel.
biscuit.
They're delicious. But
Yeah.
we can't support this company anymore now that we know all these details. You may have
No,
seen
that's-
someone on another YouTube channel drinking out of a cup that bears that caramel logo. So make of that what you will. Thought that was quite interesting. There you go. Tonics, Dano, a great Scottish institution now
Yep.
forever tarnished.
Tarnished by
Yeah.
Tories again, by the sounds of it. Oh, well.
Interestingly, here in Malaysia, due to the situation in the Middle East, Starbucks and McDonald's are empty.
Yeah.
Full
Really?
boycotts, massive
Mhm.
boycotts going on.
Yeah, that's not
Full
surprising.
boycotts.
What about they doing the same thing like in Indonesia? I mean, they're a huge Muslim country too, man.
Indonesia, I don't know about, but certainly I can see it here by just driving around. The queues to get into Starbucks used to be on the street just in front of me, no longer. And
Yeah,
same
no
for
kidding.
McDonald's. There's no queues. There's no one going in.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so that's educating Dano for this week.
And in a
Tonics.
caramel log, and I don't know, I've not seen caramel logs in decades. You can get the other two out here, but obviously I've not seen the logs in decades. They still
As
making
Kaiser,
Scotland?
Kaiser
Caramel
says he
logs?
gets what? Caramel
Yeah.
logs?
That's what the tonics becomes later, or is that something you eat as well?
No, it's a third specialist biscuit.
All right, well, let's get back to matters football and
Yeah, we've
the
gone off
next
piste.
big game coming up. We have our it's time for another prostate exam, as we discussed before, with the fingers on the chest.
Squirrely
fingers,
prostate
that's it.
exam. Yes.
Another get it up, you get it, don't you?
Get it up, ye. Well, Confidemus, we believe, we trust. David, do we trust that this is going to be a routine 3 points and we're going to continue our relentless march to the title?
No, I don't think so. I think there's an inconsistency in everything that we do at the moment. I have confidence that Brendan Rodgers is making changes. I think since the St Johnstone game, we've seen a rocket up the backside of the players. So we've certainly seen a change in that behaviour.
Keeping with the theme.
But yes, indeed. But I don't think we should take anything for granted at the moment at all. I think we'll. I think we'll win. I think we'll go. I think we'll definitely go there and win. It's up that plastic pitch, etc. Although they said they're going to change it up, so there's cat trying to bite me here.
Oh man, we're playing them on Grandma's living room carpet again. God, I'm
Yep.
sick of that place.
So where are we? They're mid-table. Do you want the
Yeah.
stats since 2000? I looked up the stats from 2003. So we've played
Okay.
70 games since then. Kilmarnock have won 6. We have won 56, and there's been 8 draws.
Wow. And what about
So I
recent
think-
form? I hear you ask, David. Well, thank you for asking. Here's the last 6 matches.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit below where they are in the table. So they had a reasonably good start, but they've kind of gone off the boil a bit. Although, didn't they just beat Aberdeen?
Yeah, they beat Aberdeen
That's
last
just
night with a
not-
late goal in injury time. But that's one of only 2 wins in the last 6.
Mhm.
They beat Motherwell 1-0 as well. They'll score a lot of goals. They've scored 16 goals this season and they've let in 16 goals. Dead zero in goal difference. They lost 3 out of those 6 and drew the other one. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Aberdeen. Jeez.
but yeah, like so the 2 teams that beat 1-0 are Aberdeen and Motherwell. Have a look. So I on the face of it, I would be overly concerned, but I do think this is this is probably the major banana skin in in the running until the derby, because we've only got one other away game, which is against Dundee, and you'd fancy us up there. So, yeah, we've got Hearts at home, but at least it's at home. I think this is a potential banana skin, but I agree with David. I think we'll do enough. Be interesting to see the team he picks, though.
Well, CCV is the risk, isn't it?
Because there are potential. Well, I don't think he plays, right? If he's taken off a tight hamstrings, and we know he's kind of nursing a bit of an injury on that knee, why would you risk? Yeah, exactly, to Johnson. But why would you risk him?
Yeah.
So the scary thing is then that potentially brings Phillips into the starting lineup, which if he was Bambi on ice last night, what's he going to be like on the plastic?
Don't do it.
Be slipping and sliding all over the place.
Wasn't there a rumor last year that CCV was refusing to like play on any of the plastic pitches? Like he kind of sat out a game where he was perfectly healthy at Rugby Park. I think it was later in the season, but
I don't think he'd have been perfectly healthy. He's played most of the games on the plastic, but I don't think he'd be risked on Sunday. I'd be very surprised if
I'd be shocked.
He's too important in a time when we're going to go through a really busy period and we need him. Obviously, we're missing some key players for that derby match and we can't be missing him. So I think he'll be rested and we'll see him again when we're back on grass.
He's looking a bit more like himself, isn't he? CCV. Recently.
Yeah, until he went off. Obviously, we didn't know he picked up a strain, but the first half he was back to his imperious best. He was, his positioning was great. He looked like he strolled it really.
Yeah.
And he kind of linked. I thought he linked very well with Tomoki, and they sort of worked well together as well. So, yeah, hopefully it's nothing major. But if there is even the slightest chance of making it worse, I would definitely keep him out on Sunday. As scary as the thought of Nat Phillips playing is, but you'd assume that's what would happen if he's getting a nod on the bench. It would be interesting to see which of the other 2 will need to have a centre back on the bench if CCV is not available. So then, is it Lagerbielka or is it Nabrowski?
Mm-hmm. More importantly, I'm not too sure what Red Scotland is trying to tell us there.
It's about 2 fingers.
He favors one finger. Is that his point?
Well, with 2 fingers is one too many. I know. I'd have said too
so
many.
One
but
is optimum.
He likes a lighter touch, He likes the subtlety.
No possibility you dwell on this too long. I don't know.
You don't even need that for the prostate these days, apparently. You can check all that on a blood test these days.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it.
Good to know.
Yeah. So all good to know, folks. Absolutely tremendous stuff.
Actually, I'm in a bit of a sort of checking my health situation. I had a friend of mine recently, younger, slimmer, more active than me, who got his calcium score, for his heart, for his coronary arteries, and it was appalling. And they had to put a stent in immediately. And to his surprise, he was expecting a clean bill of health, completely asymptomatic. He just went to get it checked out of interest, and they told him he needed a stent immediately. Otherwise, he was destined for a heart attack. So he's now zealously running about telling everyone, all of his friends, that you got to get this done. So I just got my blood work back there recently, and it's all tickety-boo. Funnily enough, you might be interested to hear this. You might not, but I'm going to tell you. The doctor,
Nice.
this is the second doctor who said to me in the last few years, the last time I got my blood done was about 5 years ago, but him, both then and recently, the doctor looked at the results and looked at the liver results and said, "You don't drink, do you?" to me. And I was like, "Well, no, I'm afraid I do." And he's like, "Really?" Because, your liver function tests are, off the charts, perfect. So whatever booze you've had in your life has done 0 damage to your liver. So I've been absolutely rat-arsed ever since hearing that.
It's funny. It's funny, Gav.
Drunk right now, man.
I hope you're looking at these, trying getting these bloods every year now, because that's the recommended thing to do at a
Every
certain
year.
vintage. I've been on a similar thing last couple of years. My wife, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer and is in good recovery now. But after a year of nagging from that, I eventually went and got blood work, and she was, I think, hoped that there would be some issue with my liver, because I obviously partake in a beverage a little more regular than is advised by the doctors and the like. And she seemed more than a little bit disappointed that there was, similar to you, my liver was in perfect nick. So I can only assume it's because I've been keeping it match fit, because I guess like anything, if you don't use things and test it, it's never going to be at optimal performance. So my little liver's been doing well. Thank you, Red Scotland. She's doing great now. But yeah, it was a rough 12-18 months. But bits of surgery and a pretty dreadful run of chemo, and all is good currently. So fingers crossed that remains the case. And we're 2.5 years down the road. So just keep ticking off the years, and all should be fine. But yeah, and message to all the listeners and viewers: if you're past 40, go get your bloods done every year, and just better be on the front foot.
And if we go 2 more minutes, keeping up with the subject matter, are we going to get like an AARP, or like some kind of old people's group, like sponsorship, Gav? Like get some old people money rolling in. We'll get like a.
Who knows? Who knows? We have to appeal to as wide a base as possible.
There's definitely base. There's definitely a base element.
It's quite base. Yeah.
So I got blood work done, and then over the Christmas period, or before Christmas, I'm going in from a fuller sort of thing where you get your CT, you get your calcium score and all that, and they look for markers of all sorts of other things. So there's more digging to do. There's no reason to think there's anything untoward, but I'm slightly concerned that the more things you look for, ultimately you'll find something. There'll be something like, something's in the post, but better
to find it. If it's there, you're better to find it. Then no point even.
I just get mandated to get something done, and then I'm just like, okay, we're good there. Yeah, all right. And I'm not probing further, man.
Back to the
probing. That takes us back to the fin. Let's get away from the fingers and on to our social media choices of the week. Paul, this is yours.
It is, yeah. So back to one of my favorites. It's been a few weeks without Fit by Tweets, but I spotted this one earlier today, and it was too good to pass up. So this is obviously the winning goal in Gorgie yesterday. The couple of things that I enjoy is Xander Clark in the Hearts goal doesn't really have a big beard anymore and has got relatively short hair, but he's stuck with it's his quintessential drawing of the big beard and the big hair from a season or 2 ago. So that's good. And but the best bit of the genius in this is Seema. Obviously, unfortunately, he's scoring, but you'll note his recently born child is strapped to his chest.
I was wondering what that was.
Is obviously a little tip of the hat to Clement's interview. I think after the Aris game, when they struggled to a draw, and he mentioned that a few of the players were having babies, and that might be an issue for the team on an ongoing basis. So I thought that was a nice touch to strap a baby to the chest in a little nod to that weird sort of interview and comment. But yeah, fit my
It's a bit
tweets. Always mention it, but the guy is a bit of a genius with these little cartoons, and there's always a little bit of in joke in them. So yeah, give him a follow. And it's coming up to Christmas, so I'll do a little plug. He does a load of these type of things and puts them on like merch, so you can get t-shirts and mugs and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, worth a look for a gift for a fellow football fan.
As for Seema, is he this year's Malik Tillman? Like they're one good player who's only here on loan and won't be here next year?
And no option to buy. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Must be.
think so.
Must be. He's a good looking player, though.
Yeah, he's doing very well at the moment. He's in a very
Well, they need
rich
one,
vein of
right?
form. I don't know if I've turned the sound on for this or if it's absolutely necessary, but
Well, that's
don't
become a
think it's
tradition here
necessary.
on the show. So
Don't think it's necessary for this one. I think this is the BBC News presenter one. I don't know if you saw it. Watch it again.
That's a belter.
This is BBC News.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Live
hadn't
from
seen
London,
that.
this is BBC News.
That is great.
Hilarious. Yeah,
Absolutely.
nothing to do with
She was
football.
putting up the wrong finger, but this is the Kilmarnock report, right? So
This is just a little mention of Santos in the year that Pele died. Santos have been relegated in Brazil for the first time in their history. The Alfredo Morelos effect.
In the year that Hey Pelé left us, Santos couldn't be able to honor
I don't know if
the
the sound's
memory
coming
of
through
the
and that, but
greatest player
obviously
to
sad
ever
scenes.
play the game and keep a spot in the league.
I see some Rangers fans talking about him coming back to steer home their next title victory.
they mean
Dano?
ours. They mean ours, right?
Dano, talk to us about this one.
Man, I've been seeing a lot about this over the, seemingly eons, but only like a week and a half I've been away. But I have noticed the atmosphere at Celtic Park without the Green Brigade, man. It's kind of soft. And I'm seeing more and more tweets about this. Something's got to give. I don't know. The board are being dicks about something that most of the fans of the club are behind. And, they've just got to let it go. This whole ban of the Green Brigade is ridiculous.
Rumor
Okay.
seems to be post Europe. Maybe they'll be back.
Yeah.
And David,
So this is Lone Star, and I just love it when someone comes up with the most witty of comments. They said, because we mentioned them again the other day about getting barred out from the landlord didn't turn up to let them in, so they watched on phones and whatever they could at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then he said, 2 weeks in a row, we're on the show more than some presenters.
that's true.
So now I think we've got to have like an empty seat. We'll just have Lone Star there.
Yeah.
We're going to have them on. We're going to have to find a way to get them on every show
Okay.
now.
We'll have to get them on properly in the new year.
Absolutely.
Because we're beginning to have a rapport with them now. We're going to keep featuring what they say in their tweets. Ultimately,
I'll be in their same time zone in a couple weeks' time. So,
Oh yeah, you're going back to the States.
Yeah, I could do like an interview with them or something.
That would be great.
Post it for the show,
Well, speaking of that, I'm going to be in Singapore very soon, and I'm hopefully going to be dropping down to Muddy Murphy's and meeting various Sing Tims. I've bought a couple of little sort of clip-on microphones, so maybe I can record some people in the pub and get some stuff for the channel. But I'm going to be away for the next 3, I think, shows. But Paul and David are going to step manfully into the breach, take control of the situation, and maybe I won't get another look in afterwards. Maybe you're going to scales me. What are the
I doubt
chances of that?
Well, there won't be much mention of prostate exams, that's for sure. But other than that,
Yeah, we should
Oh,
be
there will be on.
golden.
I'll keep it going on. I'll keep
you're
it going
right,
on
okay.
Thursdays. We'll
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Paul's
do
still
a
gonna be
meeting on
giant.
Thursday. Don't worry.
Yeah, Paul's still gonna
All
be
right,
chirping.
gentlemen. We've learned a lot about a lot of things. Health, prostates, tonics, tea cakes, you name it. And even a little bit of Celtic. All right,
Yeah.
until next time. Cheerio.